Hey everybody, Mike Bruce from Life Starts with Food. I'm here with my good buddy Dan Dennehy from Dan Dennehy Racing, and formerly of the workforce, right?
Yes. Formerly of
And
Henderson Brothers. Yes.
yeah, formerly Henderson Brothers in Pittsburgh, and the reason I wanted to have you on, everybody can see all the amazing things you've done in the local race scene, and even what you're starting to do now in national levels, which is really fun and really exciting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to have you on because from the outside looking in, you just jumped out of a great paying job that you were amazing at. And I know you're amazing at because my wife, she tells me when she works with great people and she tells me when she doesn't work with great people.
Yeah.
And not only did she love working with you, but the reason we started hanging out and becoming friends is because she's like, Mike, you just got to meet this guy. He's just the best. He's a God-fearing guy. He and his wife both. And they're just terrific people. For the most part, healthy eaters and passionate people, which passion just is a curiosity to all other passionate people, right? You want to know what that person's passionate about and why, and why they have such terrific coffee mugs. So
yeah, exactly. You always have to have the beard going on.
Yeah. Dan, how did we meet?
Coffee.
What was our first date?
Our first date was going to try vodka and gin. And was it Boyd and Blair's?
Boyd and Blair in Pittsburgh. Yeah, it was
Boyd Blair.
Vodka, and they just started the rum.
Yes. I remember the rum very well, and everything else there was delicious. But it was very cool because my corporate career was 10 plus years in healthcare and health insurance, and Kim's observation of those who do a good job and those who try is very apt, because whenever I met Kim, it was the same kind of experience. And so it was very, very cool and complimentary that she sent me an email. It was like, hey, I heard you and your wife eat funny food. And I'm like, that's true. And she was like, well, my husband and I eat funny food, and we would love to, get a drink with you guys and try to figure out why we all eat funny food. And I'm like, that's perfect. And that was 3 years ago?
I think so. Yeah. And
yeah, it's been that long. So
we've been in the honeymoon phase ever since.
Yeah. I don't think it's ever going to stop. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. And
the bromance is strong.
I know. Right. And it was, I think it was the beginning of year 2 that you invited me out to race at, is it Steel City Raceway or Pittsburgh Raceway?
It's Pittsburgh International Raceway Complex. It really rolls off the tongue. So the short version is Pit Race. If you actually go to www.pitrace.com, is our website for the track. And on the track, we'll have as many as 3 or 4 different events going on. What you got to jump into is something called autocross, and that's done through Steel City SCCA. And that's a regional chapter of the Sports Car Club of America. It's here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah. And I'm telling you, everybody, I have not had something that made me shake with adrenaline, actual shaking. And you saw it for like 3 laps, which there's time in between each lap. I was shaking, almost trouble standing up. I was shaking so hard. And the joy in my life when I think of racing, and I've only done it that one day, and I can't wait to do it again. It was tremendous, and you get to do this every weekend, a lot of weekends in the summertime. But it's something that you've really worked into, and aside from all the fun we have with racing and all the other things we share in common, from cigars to good cocktails and good drinks, and you mentioned rum because you are half Puerto Rican, and my goodness, we could have a conversation about a whole 5-hour conversation just on your mom and the type of woman she was too. Which is very much, I have a feeling, very much what drove you into getting out of the workforce into your passion.
Yeah.
So
yeah, my mother Elizabeth was in professional development and leadership, and she would talk to women and men about the truth of who they are, and not just who they are, but what they want to be. Before we started recording or making this live video, you and I were kind of talking about the term passion and what that means. And, to those who are passionate about what they do, there's a lot of commonality. There's a lot of connection there. But I never really spoke of my life with cars like a passion project. I've always used the term intention. And the thing is that whenever you drive, whenever you, as an instructor, you work with clients, you have to talk about, well, what do you intend to do with your car? What are you envisioning? So for me, she was very instrumental in that whole process, because it's funny how I instruct and teach others, which I've been doing in the corporate sense now. God willing, we'll be doing in this fun sense of playing with cars. A lot of it comes from her and those experiences. So it's kind of cool to be a chip off the block, so to speak, but doing it in a totally different way, which is fun.
That's cool. Yeah. And you are a great teacher, man. My first race day, my only race day, you took me, you walked the track, because autocross isn't like, you're not on this track that's a single road. It's literally a giant parking lot, and there's cones and paint. So when you're looking at it, you're looking at it from the ground view.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
No,
it makes no sense. But then somehow there's a racetrack in there that you have to figure out. And then by the end of the day, not only have you figured it out, but you can almost envision and replay it in your mind. And it's extremely vivid. Yeah. So
I can tell you every turn of that track still right now.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny. I think that we all almost like literally memorized the first track we raced.
Yeah.
Because like the first track I raced almost 15 years ago, I could still go over it. I could course walk it. I remember the car I was driving, it's all like emblazoned in the back of my skull. Man. Now, there's been dozens since that I've all forgotten, but that first one, that one that gave you that original high, that's the one that yours trying to like recapture and catch, which is fun. It's one of those few things that like every time you do it, it doesn't get worse.
Yeah.
Even a bad day is still a good day.
Yeah.
You know?
It's not like golf. Golf can be pretty awful some days.
You know what's funny is when I was a teenager, I was actually an excellent golf player, and I never have the temperament for it, just because with golf, I'll put it this way. In auto racing, if I'm upset with how I'm approaching a corner on a track, well, I'm going to be there 2 minutes from now. So I'll be able to do it over again, improve from it, with however many laps I have in a session. Whereas with golf, you've hit it, it's done. You can't take it back. There's no, even though mulligans is, the statement you'll make in golf, you don't get mulligans in racing. You get laps.
Yeah.
So it gives you the opportunity to continue to hone yourself as a driver constantly and consistently, which is pretty fun.
Yeah. So Dan, because we're such good buddies, give me one of these. Other side. Maybe it's just the sunlight.
Just sunlight.
Oh, son of a gun. I'm like, I gotta be a good friend. It's just the sunlight shining on your nose.
Yeah, it's a beautiful day in Pittsburgh, and I thought, if we're gonna do this, right? Let me get my head out. How do I do this?
Back the other way. There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, these
there you go.
Have a terrific view from their balcony.
Yeah. We love the city of Pittsburgh. We obviously live in it, and I thought, as much as my office looks nice, we could all use some sunshine, even if it's remote.
Yeah, right. So you can tell Dan and I are comfortable with each other. We're on a Facebook Live, and I'm like, hey, Dan, boog. So he's that kind of guy. So if you ever see him out in public and he has a boog, just let him know. So
yeah, that's good. I appreciate that. That's friendship.
Yeah, that's friendship, man. So I want to kind of talk about, this wasn't your decision to leave the workforce in the route you were and go into cars and racing being your full-time life work, right? So because you're not just going into training, you are training in automotive repair as well currently, right? Yeah.
I'm actually enrolled in classes at Rosedale Technical College, which is 20 minutes outside the city. It's a great program. It's a year-long commitment. At the end of it, I should be an automotive technician and be able to go to any dealership and work on new OEM vehicles. Plan to do that for the next couple of years, and on the side, do driving instruction and racing logistics so that clients can more cheaply and have a much more better experience, get their cars to track, get experience on track, just have fun with cars.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the eventual aim.
Yeah. And
But no, none of it was and we were talking about this. A lot of times when people say, I'm quitting my job and I'm going to go pursue my passion, the underlying message is, I haven't planned, but I'm just so fed up. I got to, jump for the nearest escape hatch. No?
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not that guy. I like,
Yeah.
in no way financially could someone look at me and say, man, that Mike, he's full on success. In no way at all. But in terms of who I try to be as a man and how I try to live my life and live to others, I believe I'm a great success, but I'm not where I need to be. But for someone like you are both in both arenas, have had success in your life, still have success in your life, and you didn't just jump towards the nearest hatch. You actually you built the escape ladder. You built the alarm system. You figured it all out, and you got out before the house even was lit.
Yeah.
Is that an appropriate way to put that?
That's a very appropriate way of putting it. And none of that could have been done without a lot of planning, a lot of conversations with my wife, Laura, us working diligently since 2018 to really put this into action. And specifically the work has only been put into action within the past couple of months. It was very funny because I was 33 when I said this. I actually went to my manager's office and I said, hey, and he looks at me 7 years younger than him going, what do you mean you're retiring? You're still a kid. And I'm like, well, I'm calling it retirement because I don't want to do this anymore. So to kind of give you some, or paint you some color as to how we executed this, I had worked for 5 years with the UPMC health plan, which was a great experience because I learned so dang much about health insurance, both from the consumer end, from the employer end, from the legislative end. The way that I understand a car, I probably understand health insurance better from all that experience. And then I parlayed that into becoming a segment manager specifically to Medicare and ACA with Henderson Brothers, which is a great organization led by great men and women. I had an amazing time there. I had a great 5 years with them.
In a great parking garage.
Yes. Great location, great company, great people, just great everything. It was not often. I think most people, when they look for a job, the type of job that they look for is what I just walked away from, because it was genuinely an amazing place. The thing that occurred to me in 2018 was just going through an experience of losing a parent, but then also when you're in sales, there's a level of availability that you have to extend to your client. You have to always be available to them. And to me, something that's very important is I come from a culture, being Puerto Rican, where we don't live for work, we work to live. And, my bride and I are on this amazing vacation. And, during almost all of it, I'm answering emails and phone calls, and I'm in Austria and Budapest and Venice and all these amazing places, and I'm still plugged into work. And a lot of people that's fine, and my wife, for instance, that's her work life. And for some people that's fine. For me, I came to really find out through that experience that although I was passionate for my clients, the amount of availability that I have to extend, it kind of got to this point where it's just like, you know what, I could be doing other things with my time, and I think have a lot more joy. Right now, happiness is what the term everyone tosses around when we talk about our work realities, but I think joy is the thing that we should try to reach. And so during that vacation and subsequent months, and it took months, Laura and I worked on finding what our exit strategy was going to be. And none of it was emotional in the sense of that visceral, let me jump for the escape hatch. It was very much more along the lines of making this plan. And so Step one was to literally sock away a year's worth of salary. Step two was to sock away tuition money. Step three was then to go to work to Henderson Brothers and speak with them, because everyone there, I'd like to think that we still have excellent relationships. I still text my old manager weekly. I still catch up with a lot of people in that. A lot of those people are friends of mine from church. So in many of those instances, I certainly didn't want to burn any bridges. If anything, I wanted to build some more roads. And now we're midway through that plan, because it's the education component, and then the next component is to get back into the workforce, and then the final stage of the plan is create a business. So it's all very intentional. That's why I like intentions, because if you really set out a plan and it's a realistic plan, and you accomplish those different goals, then it all falls into line.
Yeah. So if all that anybody got from what you said there is create intention with your finances, and or spend them with intention, almost as if God gave them to you to use appropriately, and you have to be accountable to God with them. If you spend your money that way, your life is going to be different. And the other thing, don't burn bridges. Like we go through life building these networks of people, this web of people. Web sounds so negative. It's this amazing network of people that we can be so useful to them if we don't burn the bridge. We can better their lives by helping them out anytime we think of them. But in return, people feel the same way. They want to help out their network. They want to help out someone that has been great to them, showing them love. And so never burn these bridges, guys. I don't care. Yeah. I don't care how rough you think it is. The only time you burn a bridge is when someone is bringing you down. And you don't have to burn the bridge. We do some hardcore social distancing with that person.
And you know what? So many of the different opportunities that plopped on my lap are from relationships cultivated years ago.
Yeah.
Right. I think one of the markers of emotional maturity is when you meet people who the people around them. Yeah, I've been friends with them for 5, 8, 10, 15 years. Now, a lot of people are new to a city. So it's not like you're going to have your friendships are going to be that long if you're that new to that community. But I mean, I think about a lot of the people who I race with. I've been racing with them for almost 15 years.
Yeah.
And we were all kids, teenagers in early 20s. And now we're, in our 30s looking at each other like, what's going on? Like, we were never supposed to get old.
Yeah.
But I think what is so cool about that is the fact that just through getting to know people and their stories, especially if you're in the business world, like that's just opportunity, because the people you get to know now in 10 years, just like boats in a pier, when the water rises, we all rise with one another. And then the financial component is such a big one, because I think when people think about, and of all the things we'll probably talk today, this might be the most important. I think when people talk about, I want to pursue my passion, the first thing that comes up is their finances, right? Because that's what prohibits them from being able to do a career pivot. Laura and I have, we're not fire people, but we are Dave Ramsey people. So we do the snowball of debt. And aside from our home, there's nothing that we owe. And it's been that way for some time. Everything we do in cash. And that has allowed for us a great, even now with everything going on with the quarantine, a very high degree of confidence financially to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Not to say that either of us could just retire and go on a beach somewhere. I wish we could. But I honestly think neither of us would want that, because we would be bored as heck.
Yeah.
But what it does give us is the ability where we don't have to worry about, are we going to be able to pay bills? Not to say that we're sitting here like Scrooge McDuck jumping into the pool of money every day. That's certainly not the case. But I think it's interesting when you go through like a financial wellness class, and Ramsey does one, and Susie Komen does
Yeah.
one. So I mean, there's a ton of them. But when you go through that financial health class, when you come out through the other end, what it gives you is an understanding of money. To you and I are Christians, it's a biblical sense of money where there's a form of indebtedness of what owing money can do. And when you're free of it, you're quite literally free of it. So
Yeah.
for us, it's great because we don't see money necessarily as something that promotes fear. It promotes opportunity, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And that's just, I mean, literally anything that the four of us have ever brought up together, it's like we're always in sync on that. And I think that's why we have built such a strong bond at any time we get together. Yeah, the Dave Ramsey, same thing with us. We until I bought my car recently, or well, a year and a half ago, we had no other debt aside from the house. And the only reason we didn't spend the money that I saved money for my car to pay cash.
Yeah.
But what I realized was I was using that as a buffer anytime I travel for business. And and so I was using that as a buffer, and I thought, man, I'd way rather have the buffer and pay, $150 a month. But I'm paying it down. I'm paying it down faster. So we paid like half my car off. Now Dave Ramsey would not be happy about that. But
well, I think there's a realistic approach too. And my apologies, I have to relocate because the phone that I'm using just notified me it's low battery. I'm gonna plug her in real quick.
Yeah. But I'm really glad that you brought up that it was Dave Ramsey that the plan you used, because I wanted to actually know the actionable way that you can start to work down your debt and start to plan towards a goal that you have. And that's terrific. That is that orange in the background there?
It is.
Oh, Dan.
I think our offices match.
Oh my goodness. I would love to know if it's the exact same.
It's Baltimore Oriole orange.
Oh my goodness. So I don't know what mine is. I just picked a color and went. I just every bedroom I've had since I was like 14 was this color. So this office became this color. That's hilarious.
That's fantastic.
Man, we should do these interviews more often then.
I know, it's like we're doing them from each other's home.
So nobody's gonna believe we're not in the same house. But yeah, so do you want to? Is there anything you want to touch on? Because we were actually able to hit like all the great things I really wanted to talk about. Just if you got a passion, plan for it. Was there any method of decision making and planning that you guys used to really come up with your passion, to figure out your passion?
Yes, and I think that's an excellent question, because often people, there's an intersection between things that I'm good at.
Yes.
There's an intersection of things that I enjoy. And sometimes people will get confused because you may find yourself being good at a certain thing, but it's not life-sustaining. You may find that you enjoy something, but it's not financially, fruitful.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, like, for me, for instance, I'm really great at communication. I think one of my gifts is just being able to relate with people, talk with people, and to teach. It's something that everyone in my family has always done well. I'm no different. However, just because I'm good at that thing, just because I was good at sales, for instance, doesn't mean I have to continue to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So that's an example of something that, it comes naturally to you, but if it's not soul sustaining, then why are you doing it? The flip side of that is sometimes people can say, oh, I really enjoy blah, 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 but it may be something that just doesn't materialize. I think of someone who's close to me. He was very cool in his story is that he really wanted to get into marketing, and he wanted to get into marketing for mom and pop shops. And so for his first year, he's out, he's grinding, he's getting contracts, and he's able to make a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there. But none of these clients really would sustain enough for him to financially gain from it. So what ended up happening was that he found himself kind of at a crossroads, and he and I are having conversation, and thankfully for him, that year of kind of just whittling away at his craft, now he's working for a medium-sized company.
Oh yeah.
Now he's a marketing manager. So that initial thought of, let me be for the little guy, it didn't work out. But he was flexible enough to be able to say, well, I can still provide these same talents. I just need to look for someone who I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
So like, for everyone who's listening to this, you probably, if you're in a job that you really love, then that's awesome, because everything that you're saying when you're hearing us talk is just amen, right? Because you're like, I love going to work and I enjoy what I'm doing and I'm passionate about my clients and everything's very easy. And that's like 10% of us. The other 90% maybe in the situation where they're like, man, I'm not sure if I really like what I do. Some people, like I was texting a friend this morning, she's in healthcare, and her primary concern right now is that she's, in the front lines of what's going on right now with this pandemic. And she's like, I like this job because I made a good paycheck, but now my family's at risk and I'm at risk. And it's like, almost like, well, like, how did I get here type situations. And the thing is that, each of us have a little voice that tends to be our compass. And if that voice is telling you things like, stay the course, cool. But if you keep hearing this voice and it says, hey, I'm pulled a different direction, then have a conversation with your spouse. Have a conversation with people who their opinions you trust, right? Yeah. And I don't mean enabling people. I mean people who will disagree with you if you're talking something, if you're saying something that doesn't really make sense.
That's a good distinction.
Everyone has like those friends who are gut honest with them. In that year of 2018 and 2019, I wasn't just speaking with my wife. I was speaking with actually my father-in-law. I was speaking with a friend of mine in my office. I was speaking with a friend of mine out of my office. And I was talking to them about my plan, my intention, and a lot of things align from it. So it's about having those conversations, make yourself a plan, have that plan be financial and tactical. Don't make it abruptly, because then that's an emotional move that isn't a knowledge-based move.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, that's the thing. Like, we're only on this earth for so long.
Yeah.
So it's like, I feel for those who are in jobs that feel trapped in them, because we always have time to be able to do a career pivot. We always have time to try to do something better or different. And that innovation is what I think leads to so many cool things.
Yeah. And a few things you said there, but that last thing, we always have time for a pivot. So my whole life I spent being so fearful to actually try that big thing or just get that job that was whatever here or there. If there was like a commitment on my time where I was going to now be like held responsible and like other people would be, if my quitting a job would affect people, or if I thought, oh, I'll be stuck there forever, I'll never be able to get out, I never tried it because I was so fearful of not being able to back out and not being able to pivot. Now my life is like, man, if this comes up and if I pray on it and my wife prays on it, and if we agree it's the right thing, I go for it, period. Yeah. Just that easy, because there is nothing stopping me from quitting, from pivoting, from figuring out a way out. But that came with me, growing up, right? Finally at 35, I'm just about at the age of 16. I'm just about, I'm so close to being a man, right? So
I'm
realized,
all grown up.
Yeah, when I grow up, I want to be you, Dan. So isn't it like the greatest?
You're much better looking.
What's that?
You're much better looking.
Oh, Dan. Yeah, but you got the height. You got the Latino. Is Puerto Rico considered Latino? Okay, just making sure. Didn't want to throw things out there. But yeah, I've held back so much in my life, and there's no regrets, right? The only regret I have is is that I could have affected more people in my life had I not been so fearful. It's not regrets for myself, because everything has a purpose and a plan, and it took growing in different areas to get to where I am now, and to get to where I think I heard it. We were talking about success a little bit ago. A guy that I'm actually going to have on, I think on the 15th, where I'm going to have him on, Kevin Stock. He's a carnivore guy, a dentist. He's really cool. But he had a quote from someone that said, success is not about finances. Success is if the 18-year-old you would look at who you became and just went, oh, I want to be that guy. Right?
Yeah.
Like in a good, not in like a, oh, that guy's just cool way, but like, would 18-year-old you look at you and say, good job?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I think that's such a great prism to look into life, right? Because I would say a similar thing differently, which is whenever you were a kid and you were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? How close are you to that?
Yeah.
Right. And if you would have asked me at 6 years old, and it's funny because, I have all of these old photos and like doodles my mom kept when I was a kid. All of them are cars.
Yeah.
All of them. Right. And again, like I nothing to take away or take back from the 10 years I had in healthcare, because those 10 years were super important for me financially to be able to then do what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Because those 10 years and that great career allowed for me to pay off and make financially sustainable everything I'm doing now. So it's not like, to your point of no regrets.
Yeah.
I had to do what I did to now be 33, 34, 35, going now I can do what I want to do. So your point well taken. No one should feel any like regret as to what they're doing, what they've done. I think the thing is like with the opportunity for more, and again, it's intention, it's planning, it's thinking through the actionable steps. For me, like I had to do fact finding. I had to figure out a school I could go to that had a great curriculum and great job placement.
Yeah.
I had to work through my different opportunities at the racetrack to become an instructor, to become a chairperson in my autocross chapter, to do that networking. So there were lots of little steps that culminate to where I'm at, and a lot more small steps I had to take to get to the next level. But that's fun, right?
Yeah.
Because like when you're engaged and it makes you more intentional, it makes you more detailed, it makes you have more energy. You get up in the morning a lot easier. And so it's like nothing but encouragement. And I'm really glad we got to have this conversation for no other reason than for me to get to look in your handsome face.
I love your beard. I love your beard. I love your voice. I feel like anytime I'm around you, even just on the phone, even texting, I just feel like I'm wrapped up in this cocoon with you.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree, man. And something along the lines of, what you wanted to be when you were a kid. Do you remember on Step Brothers when the stepdad finally tells Will Ferrell, when I was a kid, I wanted to be a dinosaur. I would just tromp around the neighborhood like T-Rex. And like, that's his big rah-rah speech for Will Ferrell to step back into the limelight, right? So if your goal was to be a dinosaur, you might want to change that, or you might want to be like a paleontologist. I don't know, man.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, I think the other thing too, which it was funny because we were talking about this before recording. Whenever in my office, people heard just the soundbite from someone else. Yeah, Dan's retiring to become a mechanic, right?
Yeah.
People come up to me and be like, "Are you sick? Are you ill? Like, what's going wrong? Like, what's off here?" And I would say to them, "No. It's not necessarily that simple, but by the same token, it's not necessarily all that more complicated. You don't necessarily need to have this super complicated, verbose dream. Like some people just want to do something simple.
Yeah.
It's funny, like my manager, Chris, he actually would always say if he wasn't doing, health insurance, he'd be in landscaping because he loves being on a mower. He just loves the idea of cutting grass. He loves the idea of making the outside of a home look cool.
I get it.
Yeah,
I'm going to mow my grass. Literally,
that?
When we're done with this, I'm literally going out to mow my grass for the first time this season. I am so excited.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's like sometimes people will scoff at that because like dreams have to be this big thing. Why? Like if it makes you happy, do what makes you happy. Just find a way to make sure that it sustains you and your family.
Yeah.
And do it in a way that makes practical sense.
Yeah. Dan, that's a perfect place to stop here. I do want to show everybody, I'll do a little screen share and show everybody your stuff here. So this is Dan's website, Dan Dennehy Racing. He has an older website that'll come up first, but dandennehy.racing.com is in the show notes underneath here on the description. The other one's just a WordPress site, but either one, it's Dan, either way. So you can see Dan on Instagram at what is your Instagram, Dan?
Time Attack DDR.
Okay, yeah.
The name of the business is Dan Dennehy Racing, but those are also my initials. So usually the best way to get a hold of me is through email, text, or through Instagram. But like Instagram's a great place to kind of see where I've been and where I'm going.
Yeah.
Just because we're updating, you can see the Volkswagen. We've been repainting it, rebuilding it, so it's going to be a true competitive car very soon.
Yeah.
We've got the other car on there, which is the 2018 Ford Focus. That's what we use for time trial. Everything that we're doing is usually posted on that. You can also see a couple different anecdotes from.
Is this the Focus right here? What is it?
No.
I was going to say, I didn't think so.
One of the things that's fun about being in the car community is that there's all these different fun things that are going on. So like there's car auctions and there's racing and all of these cool things. So I love Instagram as a social media vehicle because it just allows me to give a snapshot of the different things that we're doing. There's Rooney.
Yep.
You can follow him on the Adventures of Rooney.
Yep.
He can be sometimes provocative, but the funny thing with him is that
are you kidding?
Yes.
Oh my goodness!
Right outside the office. Yeah.
You actually witnessed this, right? You saw it right after it happened.
Yeah, actually, if you keep going down, I think it's either on one of the two Instagram accounts. Legit, I was walking to work and I look over to my left and it's a Monday morning. So I'm like half caffeinated, half zombie.
Yeah.
There's this bus just in a hole. And the way that I saw it, it looked almost like a scene from the movie Speed because it's like, it looks like a bus jumping. And so I took a photo of it and then it became, if you keep going down, you see it right there.
Where are we at?
Go up a little bit.
Oh, yeah, right here. So
you see her? Yeah.
So for those of you in Pittsburgh, there was a sinkhole in one of what street was that?
9th Ave.
9th Avenue. So a very serious sinkhole took a bus halfway in Pittsburgh last year. And Dan just happened to come across it.
Of course. And I mean, that was maybe an hour after it happened because I guess it happened like 5:45 a.m. There was just a bus driver and a passenger, and they're sitting at the intersection, and all of a sudden the bus just fell in the hole.
Man.
So, but yeah, like Instagram's cool because you can see towards like the right when we got the Spirit of Time Trial Award, which is a championship for the category.
Right here, yeah.
Yeah, you can see whenever the different races we went to because we've been all throughout the Northeast last year. This year, who knows what's going on, but hopefully I'll be able to get a couple events under our belt.
Yeah.
But,
and you have a podcast too, don't you, Dan?
yeah, Jeff and I have a podcast. It's called, oh gosh.
Oh no.
Staying on track. It's on track. On track with Jeff and Dan. So we have about 13 or 14 different episodes that are on the podcast Apple Grab. I forget what hosting it is. So you can listen to them, and they're all business affiliated. We're going to start in the summer whenever the coronavirus stops. Another chapter. So we have On Track, which is like the business professional version, and then we're going to have Off Track, which are just going to be Jeff and I sitting down, kind of like not necessarily goofing off, but we'll have kind of like funny things that we're going to respond to.
I love that. I love the reason I love podcasts is, yeah, you can get really serious, great conversation, great educational, I should say. But then I love the conversational piece of it. I love the, like, us chatting about your Instagram. Like, I could do that for an hour. I could listen to that for an hour. How silly. Like, I could listen to people describing Instagram pictures for an hour. But because it's conversation, you're witnessing through audio, you're witnessing connection and communication. And I love hearing the tone in people's voice, the excitement, the different, I just love it all. The different kind of dance that happens between conversation.
Oh, amen. Yeah. It's just cool. Interaction's cool. And I think there's like whenever you hear 2, 3, 4 people who have a nice connection with one another, that dialogue, it can just promote joy.
Yeah.
You know? Because there's like so much of what we consume through media can be negative. It's argument, it's strife, it's all of these different things, which doesn't have to be. When you have people who've got a like honest connection, and you get to witness that, it can become, you know, pretty encouraging. Yeah. Especially when you have people who are like talking about like for you, it's been such a blessing to have you in our lives, because you go so deeply into understanding food that here we are, lay people trying to come to speed because of health needs. And you know, we can kind of go down this little rabbit hole, but then I can go to my Cliff Notes, which is Mike. Hey, Mike, what about blah, blah, blah? Oh, yeah. Da, 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 da. It's like amazing, right? Yeah. So, but none of that would be able if we didn't have a strong relationship. Yeah. So it's cool because, again, just getting to know those people who know things that you totally have no understanding about is always amazing, because you can be like, hey, plug me into that. Yeah. Okay, great. So it's always cool.
When I have car friends, it's happened like 3 times now, I think, 2 or 3 times. Well, heck, one of them's your neighbor. And he owns a car dealership, you know? So that's not, I mean, right in Bridgeville, he owns a car dealership. I forgot about that. So, but I've like hooked us up on text messages, and I'm like, hey, this guy wants to race next year. Let's all race together. And my buddy Gary, he's not far from you either. And so it's super fun you're my person to go to for a lot of different situations like that. And my networker in Pittsburgh, you are my guy. My buddy Gary's my guy. You two are the ones that if I have someone in the city that I need to just hook up with for anything, I reach out to you to help them get the connections. And that's the whole point of building this network. So, man, we are going so long in the tooth here. I thought we hit 20 minutes. I'm like, oh, dude, we're good. We got this all in.
So 20 minutes later.
But yeah, so what I try to do is I try to front load the right information in the first 20 minutes, and then the other, whatever happens, is just us having fun. So, Dan, I am so grateful to have you on here, and for my friends and my tribe to get to expand and meet one of the most important people that is in my tribe right now, and that's you and your wife, Laura, who's just a powerhouse. We could have 10 episodes just talking about how awesome she is, and and you guys with food, you guys follow a lot of the plant paradox model, which is really cool because that falls in line with a lot of my beliefs on how we should be eating. Not all of it, but a lot of it. So, so Dan, we're going to jump off here in a second. I want you to stay on when we end the broadcast, but I just want you to know, man, I love you so much, and I love Laura so much. Rooney, he's okay, but But I just can't wait to see you guys in person, give you a big old hug. Can't wait to visit Puerto Rico with you personally and just see where your mom's from your eyes.
Yeah.
Because that's a joy of mine too, is seeing someone's home and someone's area from their eyes, seeing someone's culture from their eyes. So I love it. And that's why I love seeing people's passions. It's from their eyes, from their heart. So
Amen.
Dan, thank you so much. Any last word you want to give anybody?
Just encouragement, honestly. Especially if you're still with us 45 minutes deep into this video. But yeah, I mean, just encouragement. You know, The thing is, like right now, we're going through a unique time. It's been 100 years since something like this has happened.
Mm-hmm.
We hope that something like this doesn't happen for another 100 years. You know, now is tough, but I think for all of us, we could allow this time, if we add intention to it, to be transformative.
Yeah.
A big thank you to anyone who's working in healthcare or supply chain right now, because you know, we're all inconvenienced right now, but that's it.
Yeah.
And it's only because a lot of people right now are putting themselves out there and working their tails off to keep us safe and fed.
Yep.
So big thank you to all of them. And big thank you to everyone who's listening, and big thank you to you, big guy.
Hey, thank you, big guy. I appreciate you coming on this morning, and very last moment too. And I reached out to you last night, and you said yeah. So heck, we could just do anytime I need someone. I'm sure you could do a stand-in for a short 20 minutes anytime, huh? So yeah, everybody, if you want to reach out to Dan for any kind of coaching, racing, or networking, you can find him on Instagram in the show notes below. The details below on the Facebook Live. And if you need any health coaching or any other type of I am now doing emotional release coaching that can be done remotely. If you have no idea what that is, just ask me, reach out. And clearly, if you've stuck around this long, you're worth asking, or you're worth my time too, right? You got to be worth each other's time. So yeah, reach out on Facebook or on Instagram for me at Life Starts with Food. And guys, thank you so much for joining in and watching today.
Be good.
Be good.